In this video, I'm going to show you how to build your own text-to-video generator with ComfyUI. Yes, the same kind of tech behind tools like Sora or VO3. Now, are we going to beat them? Probably not. They have more GPUs than the entire population of Belgium. But what we can do is walk you step by step through setting up a remote GPU server and hooking everything up to a ready-to-use web interface. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create a full ComfyUI workflow and run it through your own app. It's gonna be a lot of fun, so let's dig into it. So in case you're not familiar with ComfyUI, it's basically a node-based generative AI interface, where you can hook up different nodes to create your own custom generative workflows. And let me tell you, it is powerful. There are so many things you can do with ComfyUI, and I've seen some insane workflows that others have made using this tool. So today, we're gonna create our own little workflow. Let me just say this right off the bat, any visual generative AI task consumes a ton of GPU resources. And sadly, my M2 MacBook Pro doesn't stand a chance. There's no CUDA support, and I don't have a fancy NVIDIA graphics card. So for this exercise, we're gonna spin up a custom remote GPU droplet from DigitalOcean that has all the juice we need. DigitalOcean has this new product offering called GPU droplets, and they are specifically designed for heavy generative AI tasks. They are a bit costly though, so be mindful of that when setting them up. So for this test, I'm spinning up the cheapest GPU droplet with NVIDIA RTX 4000 ADA, and I will name it ComfyUI droplet and then click create. DigitalOcean also lets us know that this droplet does still cost money even if it's powered off. So if you want to use it periodically, a good idea would be to save a snapshot of it, destroy the instance once you're done, and recreate it from the snapshot next time you want to use it again. So now that we have our remote server set up, we can SSH into it, and from here, first thing we want to do is install pip3. So we can then use it to install ComfyUI. Next, we want to install the Comfy CLI using pip. This will let us control everything connected to ComfyUI very easily. Once that's done, let's go ahead and install ComfyUI by running comfy install. And after that's done, we can easily launch ComfyUI with the command comfy launch. You will notice that the ComfyUI web interface is now exposed on localhost port 8188. What we want to do now is create an SSH tunnel from our local machine to this address so we can access the web interface from our local browser. But first, let's stop our Comfy server. And now let's run the following command to create our SSH tunnel. We are now back in the server and we see this connection failure notice because we are not running anything currently on port 8188 because we just stopped the Comfy server. So let's start the ComfyUI server again, but this time running in the background. Now let's go to localhost on port 8188, and we now have access to our ComfyUI web interface running on our remote server. So far, so good. When you first open the interface, you are presented with these sample workflows you can set up. Everything from image generation to video to audio and even 3D workflows. What we're interested in is the WAN 2.25 billion parameter video generation workflow. Let's click on that. And once you open it, you will notice that the ComfyUI warns us about missing models that have not been downloaded yet. This is totally fine since we just launched the server. We now need to proceed to download the models. So before you do that, look at the first model, pay attention to the first part that says diffusion models. This is the model folder path. We need to memorize that because next we're going to download the model using Comfy CLI. Click on copy URL, and now let's go back to our terminal. Now we need to run this command followed by the URL we just copied. It now asks you for the folder path where we need to store that specific model. This is the path we just memorized. So for this case, we have to type in diffusion models. Next, it asks for the base model name. You can leave that blank and keep the file name as is as well. And now it will proceed to download the model. This is a lengthy process because those models are pretty heavy. Now if we go back and refresh the instance, you'll notice that the previous missing model warning is gone, but we still have one more model to download. This one needs to be placed in the VAE path. Let's do that now. Everything is now downloaded and ready. We can now explore our workflow. On the left side, we get this handy README on what this workflow contains. On step 1, we have our models that are hooked up to our initial prompts. And as you can see, we have the positive prompt as well as the negative one. So we can specify what to avoid in the final result. It's strange that they put the negative prompt in Chinese. But anyway, let's test out this model by clicking the Run button. This particular setup takes approximately 7 minutes to run, and this is the output. Not bad, a bit of uncanny valley, but it's quite impressive for such a small model on such a low performance server. Now I have my own prompt prepared. I want to generate a silly cartoon gnome, and I also put some other keywords there like 3D graphics, animation. So let's see how well it does with animation. I will also decrease the video size a bit to speed up the generation process. This one was much faster, it just took a minute to generate, but the results are not great. Okay, at this point I'm feeling that this video model is good at generating realistic videos, but not cartoons if you don't specifically feed it a source image to work with. So what I discovered from messing around with different ComfyUI configs is that the best results are achieved if we first do text to image and then image to video. And there's actually an excellent text to image workflow here that we will combine with the video generation to create our final product. So let's go back and click the Browse Templates section and click on the OmniGen 2 text to image model. Honestly, this workflow is amazing for generating good looking source images. It does require downloading additional models, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'll fast forward the video so I don't bore you with the details. Now, once that is done, I can now highlight the nodes of this workflow, copy them, and paste them in my original video generation workflow. First thing we should do is replace the image input node with the output node from the OmniGen 2 model workflow. And here I made a crucial mistake of deleting the prompts from the video workflow and hooking the same ones from the image workflow. Once I ran this particular setup, the image portion worked perfectly, but I got a matrix multiplication error on the video case sampler node. I later realized that since both workflows are using separate text encoder models, we cannot just reuse the same text outputs for both of them. So the way I fixed it is by creating a common positive and negative prompt string node, and then binding that to the text input of each of those prompt nodes. That way, the text encoders still treat both of the prompts separately, but we can now reuse the same prompt value for both of those models. Once that was set up, everything worked beautifully. We now got a good looking output image of a gnome from OmniGen 2, just as I wanted, and also an output video from the WAN model. You can clearly see that the video is very janky, but keep in mind this took only 2 minutes to generate on a low-end GPU droplet. So increasing the model steps and upgrading to a more powerful server setup can definitely yield much better looking results. So at this point, our workflow is ready to be integrated in a custom web app. ComfyUI has this great feature where you can export your workflow as an API configuration, so you can hook it up to your own service. You can totally create your own custom web app and bind it together with this workflow, but for simplicity and convenience sake, we're just gonna use a project called ViewComfy. This is basically a Next.js app that lets you import your ComfyUI workflows and run them in a playground setting. So next, let's clone the ViewComfy repo and install it onto our remote server, and then install the necessary dependencies and run the app. As you can see, the app is now exposed on port 3000 on the remote server. And now let's make another SSH tunnel to this port to access it on our local browser. Now if we open port 3000 on the browser, we see that the ViewComfy project is now running. And now we have to open our API workflow JSON file that we downloaded earlier. Here we can give our workflow a custom name and then save the changes. And now let's go to the playground and test it out. I will change the prompt this time to have a silly, funny raccoon running through the streets at night. And there you have it. The workflow is now successfully running through our web app. We get this nice image output of a cute raccoon and the video output as well. And if we run the workflow multiple times in this app, it stacks up the results, so that's pretty handy as well. I love how in this one the cats are just dancing on the spot in the background. So basically that's it. You now have a fully working ComfyUI setup running on a remote server, connected to a slick web interface, ready to generate all the cartoon raccoons your heart desires. ComfyUI is really powerful and versatile, and once you master it, honestly, sky is the limit. This is just a tiny sliver of what is possible with ComfyUI. Honestly, there could be many more interesting workflows we could integrate, but I will leave that for the next videos. So what do you think about ComfyUI, and are you planning to integrate it in one of your future projects? I would love to know what you're working on. Let us know in the comments down below. And folks, if you like long technical tutorials like this one, then let me know by smashing that like button underneath the video. And give us some recommendations of other setups you would like to see tutorials for. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This has been Andres from BetterStack, and I will see you in the next videos.